back again with Dad, We're Incarcerated Too. We are happy for everyone who can tune in. So the last time we were here, we kind of gave an introduction, to who we are. And then, we kind of talked about the growth that we've been having in our father and daughter's relationship. And we also talked about the importance of listening to your children and, the effects that not having, a father in your life, how that can be traumatic. So we're here today, to just finish that discussion with you all and, keep it going from there. So I'll just start off by saying earlier, we were talking about the pain that comes with not having a father in your life, due to incarceration. And it is pretty painful, with me, I didn't realize the pain until I got, started dealing with guys. And that's when it became pretty prevalent for me. I actually remember having a conversation with my sister Raquel when I was 14. We were walking up the street to Greenville. Do you remember that? And we were having a conversation about the pain that we were feeling, and just about relationships and everything, and the sadness that we were feeling. And I will never forget that conversation because it was really monumental. I got to see that my sister was in a lot of pain too, especially trying to navigate the world without one of your parents. So it was really difficult, growing up without a father. And it caused pain that I didn't, I guess I chose not to think about after a while. And that was just the way that I lived, and that's just what it was. But like I said, when I started getting into, dealing with guys, that's when it really started to hit me. And I started realizing, all right, now, some of the things that I'm going through, or actually most of the things that I'm going through, I feel like is because of, lack of a father, lack of that guidance, lack of support, not knowing, how a relationship is supposed to look like, how a guy is supposed to treat you, and I actually wound up in a abusive relationship, because that's what, I don't know, I guess that's just, I didn't know any better, so I thought that's what love was supposed to be like. And it wasn't. And I remember telling my dad about it, and he was so upset. He was pissed off. He wanted to fight him and everything. And I was just like, no, Dad, you can't fight him. You can't, what are you doing right now? But he was really upset about that. And I think that, it made him think about the fact that he wasn't here, and how different my life, maybe would have been had he been there, to teach me what a relationship and how a guy is supposed to treat you. So that was one of my experiences, not having a dad around. And I guess just in general, my interactions with people in general was, I guess still is a little bit. I think that I still have a thing with, I have certain triggers, I would say, when I'm interacting with people. And I think that some of that still stems from, the lack of relationship that I had with my father. And I am older now. I'm 26 now. And man, I even though we have a good relationship and everything now, I still have certain triggers, and that's just what it is. I think now though I'm just trying to be more mindful of those triggers and what's coming up for me, You know what I mean?
How do you think like that pain affects the process that you had to take to becoming to establishing a relationship with Dad, or even continuing the relationship? You know what I mean?
You said, how do I think the pain?
Yeah, like the things that you went through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you think it affected your decision in
Oh.
the relationship and how you move forward with developing the relationship?
You know what? At first, I didn't really think anything of it. I didn't think that the two were. Well, let me not say that. That's a good question. I don't know, because I never really thought about it. You know what I mean? I guess the thing about it was just that I wanted to have another parent in my life. I didn't want to refer to our mom as mom and dad anymore.
Oh, yeah,
I used to, and mommy used to
mommy
be mad
hated it
about
too.
that.
Yeah.
She didn't like that.
I'm not your father. I
Right.
can't replace him with his position.
Right. Right. It was like, I don't know, I had got to a point where I was just willing to allow him to be in my life, just to see what the difference would be. I think, you know what I mean, to see what to see what it would be like. I'm like, oh, okay, now you want to be in my life and all this, And at the time, when I actually really started talking to him, I think that was like 2015 or something, when I was in college, and I was going through certain things, and that's when I kind of started like talking to him a little bit more, but we weren't like how we are now, right? I remember talking to him about my ex, and he gave me some great advice. I didn't take it, but he did give me some great advice. But I don't think I was in a place to receive it either. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that it was coming from my dad, and knowing what I know about, our relationship dynamic and the reasons why, he wasn't in our life, it kind of felt weird to take advice from him. It was like, well, why? Okay. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I was asking because it's funny, because like you said, you don't realize initially the effects of not having him in our lives, how serious it was until you start getting older and experiencing a bunch of stuff. And initially I was like, no, I'm good. I'm this age. I done got this far.
Me too.
and then, but after a while though, and it was like probably divine intervention, or like God had his own plan, because I was getting ready. I didn't know this yet though. A relationship was getting ready to end for me at the same time as me establishing a new relationship. And it was like with my child's father, and then with my dad. So it's like I didn't realize it was about to end when Daddy started trying to come back into our lives. But I knew that I did know all the pain and hurt that was existing in my life and that I felt. I knew. No, I didn't. I knew that I needed to end this relationship, but I hadn't. And it was like this divine intervention. Daddy came into our lives, and then we started working with him and stuff. And then so when that relationship ended, I had him to kind of be my that support system in a way, that man that actually loves me unconditionally. But even though at that stage we hadn't established what we have now.
Right. Yeah, it was the beginning.
But it was something in me though, I guess, because I continued it and I talked, and he, it was like he was there for that moment, and a moment that I never even knew I needed.
Yes.
It's like that. Yeah. It was like, no, all right, you've had enough. Now it's time.
Lean on something else.
Your father is here. Yeah. Let him give you what he was supposed to give you. It's never too late. That was my thing, Yeah. It's never too late because you never know, that divine intervention, what is coming in for and where you gonna end up at.
Right.
That's so interesting that you say that it's divine intervention, that he came in right when you were into something, because he came in right when I was ending something too.
Same here.
I ended my last relationship in 2018, and then me and Raquel started working with my dad in 2018. And it was like, I didn't even think about it that way. That's crazy. Like, wow, like that was really necessary. And then Jamila came in and she was going through her stuff, and it just all like worked out in a way. And that's God, man. Like it just, wow, that's crazy.
But to answer that question that you asked Aaliyah, dang, mine started when I first got introduced to guys too. In that way, where I actually start having feelings or whatever, because I'm not sure why, but I ended up in abusive relationships as well. And I won't say not necessarily physical abuse. However, you fighting your boyfriend is physical abuse. So that's abuse.
Yeah.
Either way, from both parties, it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So with that though, I mostly suffered psychological, mental, and emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And so as I was going through that, and then, you being around people who make you feel less than, I don't know my worth, but I'm seeing this guy, and this is all I know because this is the first guy that showed me any type of love in this manner. So I'm thinking like, well, maybe, this is what it's supposed to be, or maybe I'm just supposed to hold him down. No.
Right. I didn't even question it. Like,
we be so used to that, I think, especially as black women. That it's a certain standard that we supposed to live up to, that we strong enough to handle any level of pain, hurt, or abuse.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that we should. And so that's when Dad started coming into my life around the same time, 2018. And I realized that I need him to show me other than what I've been seeing my whole life. And if he willing to, granted I wasn't as accepting as him in my life. I wasn't ready for it. But like Raquel said, I allowed him to stay.
Yeah.
I allowed him to keep trying even when I went against it, and I'm thankful to him for still trying.
Yes.
But I knew that all of us, we needed to know a certain love that we ain't never experienced before. And we need to understand how you should be treated and the way you've been treated, and that is not right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's self-worth, self-awareness. It's like I'm about to say only a father, but sometimes it does feel like your father is the one that pours that into you, that you know your value. Because he's supposed to be our
first love. He was. And it's like he was the first person to break our heart.
Yeah.
And then you don't know anything else after that. So it's, certain things become acceptable. And so it's important, for fathers and mothers to come back in your life and let you know, like, nah, this ain't how it's supposed to be. You don't deserve this. You better than this. Like, and to speak life into you. Especially as women, we need men, our black men, to speak life into us. Fathers, husbands, sons, brothers, all of them. Because we carry the load so much. And we'll take it. We'll deal with it. But I think that it's important for us to not always feel like we have to. And I think it's important for us to understand that it's something that we lacking in our lives. And we not finding it in the people that we chasing, the people that we want in our lives. And I think that's why the father is, when God speaks, he calls for the father first. He don't call for the women and the children. He calls for the father because of the stance that he's supposed to hold in the household. And the direction and guidance that he's supposed to give as being the man, protect, provide, and not just money-wise, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
And if we don't have that, that's when we start,
spiraling
or looking for it in places that it could never be found there.
Yeah. And I also think too, having that father, in your life and in your space like that too, allows you to not only understand how you should be treated, from a man, and probably yourself too, but also how to treat a man, how to accept him as well, because because a big part of our relationship is the reciprocity of accepting each other.
Yes.
Like, I'm learning how to have a father.
And we didn't know either way.
Yeah.
I don't know how to love you, and I don't know how you supposed to love me.
Yeah.
Period.
All I know,
I don't know.
I just know that I want to stay. I feel like I should stay. Hey, Father.
Dad, speaking of our Father, I want to say something too about, you know, what you all were just saying. I think that it's so pivotal to have that type of relationship at a young age, because at that young age you're so impressionable. So you get to see like what it really is supposed to look like your interactions, not just with men, with people in general. You know what I mean? What your interactions are, you know, are supposed to, well, not supposed to, but can look like. You know what I mean? And having that confidence to do that too. I think like a lot of, well, let me not say a lot. I think that some of our confidence definitely, as children in general, come from our father. You know what I mean? Teaching us how, that value, valuing ourselves, teaching us how, you know, we can
self-respect.
Exactly. Teaching us how like we can interact with the world. You know what I mean? And and it doesn't have to be such a burden to do so. You know what I mean? Like teaching us that strength, because after all, you know what they say, men are more logical, women are more emotional.
But that helps them create boundaries.
And it also helps to balance the logic with the emotion. You know what I mean? So growing up, I ain't had no balance. I was emotional. Period. Emotional. I'm relying on my emotions, and this is just what it is. I have my logic. Logically, my emotions are telling me this. So, and that's just what
any logic that we do get, you know, without that structure, it's like you just go out here in the world and you get every piece of everybody else, or what you see on TV or movies, or like, you know. And it's always portrayed in this one specific way, and you grow up feeling like this is how it's supposed to be.
And you exactly, and you literally think that that's what it's supposed to be, instead of. It's unfortunate that we grew up in a household where it's not displayed directly from birth. And you know, they say a child's brain is fully developed around age 5. Their personalities are fully developed between ages 7 and 9. So for a parent to not have that whole, they only get on one side of their development. And now the other side is lacking. Then you grow up and you get in this world where you need both sides to really get through life. You need both sides. And so it's scary. It be scary out here. And then you never know what you was missing, especially the parents who never try to reconcile. You'll never even know what you was missing. It's just a little emptiness in you, and you're not really sure where it's coming from.
And you find yourself stuck in this cycle. Over and over and over again until you figure it out. Like, I believe that there's always a root cause for things. You know, let's get to the root of the issue. Okay, the root of the issue is I have daddy issues. All right, that's the root of the issue. Okay, and no, I'm saying in general though.
That's what it is.
But I mean, that is my issue, right? One of them. But it's like the root of the issue is this. And then as far as you said, like, you never get that chance to actually have the relationship. So you just continuously going through life, you know what I mean, repeating that cycle and not getting to the root cause. And that's the sad part. You know what I mean?
That's why I think these conversations are so important too, because, you know, realizing that acknowledgement of, like you said, the root cause. Because no matter how old you are, there's just certain things that you need. I feel like, you know, and even if you can't, I don't even know. That was just tough.
Well, let's go ahead and bring Daddy in. Leah gave us the pleasure of introducing us. So. And then Raquel asked a question. How do you deal with your pain? How did your pain lead you to the relationship with your father? And so we was basically just answering that in our own little ways.
And then we went into a whole thing about relationships with guys, and you know, how not having you here impacted that dynamic. And then we were led here. So right now, you know, as you heard, we're talking about like dealing with the root issue, or issues, you know, and reconciling those. and Jamila also mentioned never even getting a chance to reconcile, you know, and how do you deal with that if you never get the chance?
That got me so stuck.
Yeah, it's like, dang, that's, you know, if you never get the chance to reconcile with your father, you know, who was incarcerated.
Like,
so
what do you do?
Yeah.
Or wasn't incarcerated, just absent in general.
Yeah, or the mom, or whatever, you know, whoever was raising you. You know, how do you, you know,
Well, of course, was running late. But, you know, what an interesting topic, you know, to kind of dive into really the core and the meat of, you know, what are underlying issues, because we always tend to relationship hop.
Yeah.
We go from one relationship to the next relationship and the next one. And then what we do is, because there's so much unresolved, we wind up taking a part of that individual to the next relationship and part of that individual. So now we got like 4 or 5 different individuals. You know what I mean? Plus the one we're dealing with right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, man, you know, and you know, the you know, what's really interesting about that is we tend to blame the other individual. You know, and one of the things that I'm learning in therapy is that it's about me.
Yep.
You know, it's really about me, you know, and my unresolved, you know, and internalizing, you know, what needing me means.
Yes.
You know, because we don't lend value to how much we need ourselves. You know.
That's true.
Raquel like, Raquel's so serious, like, yes.
No, I mean, seriously though, man, you know, it's like, man, you know, it's like we be absent. You know, so, you know, my father, you know, he was a heck of a dude, man. You know, he was abusive, man. And my mother said, I loved my father. Which now, as I'm digressing, I'm looking back, I guess the question I have to ask myself today is that did it made me attach myself to the abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the abuse was coming from him, whom I love.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what we were talking. Yeah.
And that's all one part. And one of the things my therapist was saying, that you can't separate you from you.
Yes. Oh, dang.
You can't separate yourself.
Right.
So I can't separate my father from the abuse and make the excuse, you know, make excuses for him for his abuse towards me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then what is even more damaging is that it's associated with love.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That whole absentee piece, that whole, you know, man, got me feeling a certain kind of way in my adult life. You know what I mean? It's like, man, listen, Joe.
Right. See, and then when they leave, right? Or they're no longer in your life anymore. Maybe they pass away, or whatever the case may be. Now you're abandoned.
Now you back to the abandonment part.
Now you're abandoned,
Right.
right? Because you're missing the person, right, who you love so much, but also the person who caused you so much pain.
Yeah.
And now you're going through this life with the abandonment, with the pain,
And we
with
attached to it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a whole attachment thing.
And you got to keep finding it over, and you go looking for it. No,
Yes.
it ain't enough. I ain't had enough.
And therein lies the underlying theme in terms of what you all were talking about, relationships, because now we're going outside of that relationship and outside the relationship with ourselves to find it in somebody else.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What we've been missing, you know, what we've been lacking.
Yeah.
Right,
You
but
know
all
what I'm
along you were lacking in that relationship. that parent relationship you were lacking. So you're never going to find it in those relationships because it had been lacking. I just had a revelation.
I know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That first
gosh.
love. And when you only get half of that first
Yeah.
love, it's like, well, I've been lacking for a long time because I didn't even know that this even existed.
Exactly.
Not that I didn't know that it existed. I didn't know that this was the experience that could come with it. Like, you know, it's different watching families and stuff on TV and everybody used to love. It's different feeling like, oh, I wonder what that feel like. But you don't ever see people wondering like what it feels like to grow up in a single parent household.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So that whole, I don't want to call it a loss because, you know, God works how he works. It's very discomfort. It's a lot of discomfort in not knowing what it could be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people need to take that chance at. That discomfort that you feel like, I want to say longing, that you feel for whichever parent is absent. It will never go away until you talk to those people or somebody. Maybe y'all not in a place where y'all can, but to have truly understand that you did lose something.
Yeah.
You was supposed to have it this way.
And it is sad.
And
it's
it does
okay.
suck.
Like,
Yeah, and it sucks.
But
And
this
now
is
it's
not
showing up in
it.
these different ways in your life. Yes.
Yeah. And it's showing up in different ways of your life. And when you sit back and you look at all your problems, what's that favorite line?
It's
You. You know, Dad told me the other day when he was talking about Texas or whatever. It's Texas, right? Houston.
Is he going to
Yeah.
Houston?
So
I'll be right back.
he was talking about how he said, I don't want to take the same person that I am here with me. He was like, he was like, one thing that's for sure, two things for certain. You always gonna take you with you. And it just makes me think of, because that's true, right? It's yeah. Like we're taking us
Take you
ourselves
everywhere you go.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, to lend value to what it is that you're saying, you know, so, you know, we become damaged goods and not even know that we're damaged.
Yeah.
Because depending on the culture, the community, the neighborhood, and the family dynamic, some things we deem as to be the norm.
Yeah, that's what Jamila was talking about
You know what I
earlier.
mean? It's
yeah.
like, man, it's like this is just because everybody's father was an alcoholic. They went to work and they drank.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but that was sort of like, you know, what we deemed to be normal. So when they talk about, you know, abnormality or dysfunction, well, what is that?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, what you may call dysfunction for us was functional because we learned how to function in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You know what I
it's-
mean?
We were
Yes.
literally dysfunctionally functioning.
Yes.
Yeah. For like, just try to make sense out of that.
Yeah,
You know
pretty
what I mean?
much.
So, you know, having you know, this experience helps me to realize that everything that I didn't get from my father, my desire is to be able to give it to my children. You know, some sense of functionality. You know, because the worst thing in the world for a parent when their eyes are finally open, because not everybody's eyes are open, is to see their children go through periods where they are bouncing, relationship hopping, because they can't find the resolve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you get mixed up in these relationships, and then in some relationships, right? We tend to either we give more than we should, or we don't give enough.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we
Yeah,
call
for
that functional.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a balance. You got to find the balance.
yeah, but where do you find that balance?
Where do
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the question. Where do you find that balance?
Where
You
is
know?
the balance?
Right. Where's the, and I think that one is relationship with a higher power, relationship with God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, turning to a sense of spirituality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And having and beginning to build a foundation on that.
Yep.
Because that in of itself can push you further along, because it moves you from carnality to spirituality.
Yes.
My carnal mind, I'm gonna do me. Well, we ain't had a relationship all these years. Why should we start now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my carnal mind.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's in my carnal mind, that's protecting me.
Yeah.
I ain't about to be damaged. I ain't about to be hurt. And you hear these conversations all the time with children, you know, no matter what the age group is, right? Like, well, you ain't been here all this time.
Yeah.
That's what
We just said that earlier.
I mean, so why do I need to, you know, why you want to come in right now? Because that's a missing piece out your life.
Yes.
You know, that's a missing piece. And without bringing resolution and solving that piece of your puzzle, you're going to keep running through these same challenges, the same
As
thing.
we said, the cycles.
And somebody said, if you don't learn your lesson, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
God said, and I'm gonna give it to you harder this time.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it hurt worse this time.
Right.
Yeah,
So you
man.
can learn.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, Dad, because, yep, I lost it. It's gone.
It's okay.
That's that fast.
It's right here.
Wait, what did you just say? You said, hold on, before we said if you're doomed to repeat it, what was the last part that you just said?
I lost it.
Oh.
Swear to goodness, man. I had to go back and review the tape.
Dang. Oh, I was going to say, you said something about, you know, you've been out of my life for this long. Why would I, you know, need you to come in
there
now?
it is. You
And then
got
I
it,
was
see?
thinking, and I was thinking, like, I think maybe some people too, it's like they don't want to open that wound
Right.
because of what it would mean for them. It would mean they would
To
have to
visit
face
that.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
It would mean they would have to think about it. You know what I mean? They would have to sit with it
Right.
and then start trying to work through it. You know, and that could be really difficult.
And you know what though? But watch this though, right? For those individuals, like I'm in recovery, you know, I don't make no bones about it. You know, I was dual addicted, alcohol and drugs.
You
right?
got all these sayings.
Right, I don't make no bones about it. Dual addicted.
Right, I ain't making none, right? Dang, Jamil. That's how you feel. No, but then watch though. But now, so we say, well, I don't want to talk about it. But yet, if you are, so addiction causes you to mask it, cover it up, hide it. You don't have to deal with it, so you keep using more and more and more, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, through using alcohol, it make you vulnerable.
Yes.
You get to run in your mouth, start talking about your stuff. You know what I mean? To whoever listens, the barmaid, the bartender, Lottie,
You
Dottie,
wake up in the
anybody.
morning like, did I say all of that? I hope I'm remembering this wrong.
Right.
Or somebody telling you what you said and did.
Right. Girl. Be like, man, you remember what you was talking about? Nah, man, what I'm talking about, Joe, I don't even understand. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Not
but it puts you in that place, which means, and it don't have to be in that. You know, sometimes you could be around your girlfriends. You know what I mean? Sometimes dudes be around their dudes, you know what I mean? And they just want, not a lot of times, dudes don't always holler at each other about what they feeling.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? You know, this is that one person, you know what I mean? And, but, you know, sometimes in those circles, you know, we just want to, you know, we want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the issue is and it's not every group and it's not every situation. So let me be clear about that. But the issue is you putting your stuff out there, right? Opening you up to receive solutions from people that's going through the same stuff you going through.
Yeah.
And they ain't got no resolve. You know what I mean? And then a lot of times we want people, you know, to you know, pat us on the back and you know, and be like, you gonna make you know what I mean? You know, think about it though. In
No,
those
for
type
real.
of tight relationships, you know, where you going through your cycles with somebody, you know, male or female. You know what I mean? And you get with your people. Hey, you need to lead that. You know, you need to lead that dude. You need to lead that girl. You know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But leaving that individual does not bring resolution. It doesn't bring resolve.
Nope.
Now, I understand if it's abusive, of course.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there. If it's abusive. But the cycles repeat themselves, man.
Yeah.
Because you could go over and you see this dude over here, man, you know, he look a certain kind of way, got the certain kind of smile, you know, his hair is faded, you know, he clean, you know what I mean, talking that talk, walking that walk, you know what I mean, he faded, right? And you be like, man, you know how y'all females be. You know how y'all be like, yeah, Jamila, don't even try.
I'm just them be the same ones that'll sit there and be trying to talk to you for 2 hours about what they going through. That messed around and broke down.
Right. And I'm just saying though, you know, but then, you know, when you get at them, you know, male or female, you know, you're getting at this female, you know what I mean? The reality of it is everybody bringing something to the table.
Yeah.
It's only hidden, but your true self gonna identify.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The real you gonna show up, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you be, and then when they show up, it's like, what the hell?
Who is this?
Right? You know what I mean? But they don't have any resolve.
Yeah.
And it seems like we get in a huddle around individuals who's dealing with it. Like it's like that attraction.
Yeah.
You know, we attract like people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we talk about the same things.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same things. It ain't new struggles. It's the same struggle. It's just got a different twist on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, so that unresolved, as it talks about relationships. See, I'll never get the chance to have that resolved, you know, with my father because he passed away.
Right.
You know what I mean? But what I did do, and for those of you, you know, that are listening, you know, whose parent, you know, had passed away, you know, there has to be a level of forgiveness within you that you can still forgive and move on with your life. You know what I mean? And not allow that situation and the circumstance that you have been through to continue to hold you hostage.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How would you say you had to go about doing that?
Yeah.
Well, first it had to begin with me. You know what I mean? And realizing that I was still harboring these issues and feelings that was, you know, in terms of the abuse that was presented to me in my childhood. I had to look at that for what it really was. You know what I mean? And so I had to realize too that during that time period that those things were happening to me, that it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything to deserve that. I'm a child. You know what I mean? So all of his anger and his madness, that was him. That wasn't me, right? And once I was able to resolve that within myself, now I'm in a position, you know, to choose whether or not I want to forgive. Because forgiveness is a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because I wanted to move on with my life, and I did not want anything to interfere with relationship with my children, I had to deal with it. You know what I mean? Then once I got to that space, you know, I said, man, you know, even though he was deceased, I said, man, I forgive you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And not only do I forgive you, but I love you too.
Right.
That was big for me, man.
Yeah, that's huge.
You know what I mean? That was big, man.
It's like you gave yourself closure.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
And that's key.
Yeah.
Is that you have to give yourself closure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because, again, the most important person right now has got to be you. You know what I mean? And you bringing resolve to whatever issues and pain that this situation might have caused you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you're able to open up then. And fathers and mothers and those of you all that have been incarcerated, you know, you need to understand that, you know, however they say it is how they say it. That's their feelings. You know what I mean? that's their feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sit back and as much as it might pain you, to hear, what they say, however they say it, whatever form they say it in.
Yeah, it's got to come out.
It's got to come out.
It's definitely gotta come
And
out.
for the children, whatever the parents say is just what they say. We might not always hear the answers that we're looking for, or we're not gonna always get the response that we sat there and thought that we was gonna get.
Right.
The decision, I'm saying for the children, let people be where they at. If that's where they at, you didn't get the response that you was looking for, you can elaborate more if you want to, but you understand that this is where this person at. So from here forward, how do you want to move? Do you still want to continue a relationship with this person, or you feel like it's a wrap? Because the point of the conversation is for both people to let off whatever they need to let off,
Right.
without judgment and with understanding. And then, actually, you don't even have to understand it all the way. It's just to listen without judgment.
Right.
And to sit here and say, I'm willing to have this conversation. I hope that you can hear what I got to say, and I'm going to try to hear what you have to say. And then we can decide how we're going to move forward. Some things I can forgive, but I'm not going to forget, and I don't want to move on in a relationship with you. That's fine.
Right.
As long as you feel better after that release, that you're not holding on to that, that weight that you felt as a child from whatever your parents did, their lack thereof, as long as you're not holding on to that anymore, that's what I feel like the children need to do. Give it back, because it was never for
yours to
you.
carry.
If you can get that closure, get it.
Get it.
Yeah.
And don't hold on to it after that. And now if y'all want to continue to have a conversation, of course, y'all can have more conversations about it, because now y'all both willing participants.
Right, yeah.
But if sometimes you just gotta let stuff be where it's at. As long as you are allowing yourself to say what you need to say and no longer hold on to that, so that it's not affecting your life anymore.
Yeah. What do you say to children though? Because it sounds like that was more so toward like teenagers or adults. Well, what do you say to the children, the babies? Because they remember that. We remembered our pain. You know what I mean? As children. So it's like, how do you speak that to a child who's, let's say, 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 6, whatever the case may be? You know what I mean?
I think, not a parent yet, but I think that you should try to explain to them your absence to the best that you can without giving them overwhelming details. They don't need to know that, he was out here doing all that or whatever
Right.
he was doing. They don't need details. They do need an explanation for your absence, though.
Yeah.
I believe that they definitely need an explanation, and it has to make sense to them.
Right.
So your children. Don't lie at all. Keep
Right.
it honest, because they understand more than we think they understand.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
they just want to know, are they important enough for you to stay this time?
Right. Or was it my fault?
Yeah, and those are the things you need to correct. Those are the
Yeah.
things that you need to say, like, that was me. I wanted to be here, but I was allowing other things to take place that didn't allow me to be here. And I apologize for those things, because that's never how I wanted you to grow up. And from there. But I do believe certain kids are exposed to too much sometimes.
Right.
So I think the conversation needs to be had, but not overcompensated. Don't try to go full blown, and then, because that's a lot for a kid to process. And now you also giving them your trauma.
Yeah.
Right.
And that never goes away either.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they got to deal with that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, too, because they're so young, it's like, sometimes I used to remember hearing my mother talk, but I thought I was ignoring her, but you get older and as to have an 8-year-old child, I think I'm talking about an 8-year-old child.
She's
Children, right?
Right.
But I think it's consistency too, along with the talking for sure, but the
Yes.
consistency and the constant reassurance.
Yes.
Because showing up to where they're at, not expecting the child to come to where you're at, but going down to where they're showing up to their things and their activities and their small moments or whatever,
Yeah.
but doing that consistently. That's,
Yes.
I think, them having that repetition of structure and, because that's what
That's what they
what a child needs, and that's how they found out that they loved and stuff, you know.
And they so innocent.
Habitual habit,
right? Yeah, they don't care what you did. Honestly, they don't care. I just want to know how you gonna show up. What's next, Dad?
Right?
Okay, that was wrong, but
I wouldn't generalize it though, because some of them will care.
No,
we care
for sure,
for sure.
But it took us a while to understand how much we care. But
but
that
still,
is true, because we cried when we were those ages.
Right, we cried when we were those ages. You know what I mean? So we still cared. We just didn't understand the full extent of what was actually happening until we got older, right? And it didn't take us long to really understand. You know what I mean? So, I wouldn't generalize it, to say that, but like they both said, definitely taking into consideration, not giving them too much, and then showing up. Make sure you show up.
Letting them feel loved and wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that I think you all said something that just really just made so much sense. It's like when you're sharing with your child, don't make your child have to become an adult to understand your language.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to give it to your child in language what they can understand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we put we put this pressure on a child to try to get them to understand what they don't. They know you've been gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've been out my life. And children are growing up so fast now, with the internet and all these things right now. Yeah. So trust and believe. A lot of times it's not like they don't know where you at, because somebody in the streets are probably auntie or somebody saying like, your dad out, or whatever.
They sitting around listening at the family get together.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's possible now. It wasn't when we was growing up.
Well, it is now. Yes, it was.
But it's valuable.
No, you're right.
That's very valuable.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I'm really happy that you were able to give Jamila way, Jamila and Raquel a way to talk to, a way that the parents should talk to the child, because I don't think that we talk about that enough. Like the little ones, we kind of talk more so on the adult level or teenage level, but the little ones, right? Yeah. It's like preventing it early, preventative measures, right? Early on.
It's kind of like all you can do in a sense. Like, because they're going to be like, what?
Right.
And I think that the other part of that is too, though, Aaliyah, is don't make promises.
Yeah.
The worst thing that you can do to a child is to make a promise and then break a promise.
Trust and believe.
Because that's going to, because that consistency of you breaking the promise, it damages trust.
And it starts the abandonment issue.
It starts exactly. Just be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just be there, and be there consistently.
Yes.
And if you say you're gonna show up come hell or high water. Don't make excuses.
Yeah.
As to why you couldn't come or I had to work and blah blah. No. Remember, this is an investment.
Yeah.
You are investing in, that's your child.
Yeah.
And if you want relationship with your child, then you have to show up.
For sure. Yeah.
There's no other way. It's mandated on your life to show up and be consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That consistency, whether they want you involved or not, is what's going to pay off for you. And that's one of the things that I had to learn on the onset, because I wanted relationship with you all. You know what I mean? And, your thought process is, they ain't really feeling me, man, so I might as well kick rocks. You know what I mean? But because my desire to be with you was greater than the passing thoughts of leaving you again, I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say I made myself stay, but I did. I made myself stay in it and not run from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's easy to run.
Yeah.
But then that's lack of responsibility. That don't show no responsibility, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For real.
And to piggyback off of that, right?
Oh, you
To
don't feel some
piggyback,
love, do you?
To piggyback off of that, I was just thinking too, like when you said, to not make promises that you can't keep. I think that it's also really important that we be realistic with our expectations. You know, you got to be realistic first and foremost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, because you're going to have to adjust as you go on. You know what I mean? So if, you're trying to build this relationship with your child, however old, you know what I mean, then be realistic about the time that you are going to give. Period.
Right.
Don't, like you said, Dad, don't make promises you can't keep. If you can't show up to my recital, don't say that you can.
Right.
Period.
All right. Say to me, I can be there afterwards with this, and that, or however it goes. You know what I mean? Be honest about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Or I
For
want
sure.
to make it there, but if I can't, how about I come tomorrow and
Or
do those
something,
things,
yeah.
whatever, to
Yeah.
compensate because they need that.
Yeah, exactly.
But what Dad was just talking about, basically those thoughts that go through your head, like, well, they don't want me, so forget it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ego speaking.
I
You
was
used another
thinking
word
that,
for it
yeah.
earlier. You called it the card something.
Cardinal.
Cardinal.
Right.
I said
That's,
cardinal.
yeah, so that's your ego telling you, like, man, they don't want me. I don't got to do all that. It's not even worth it. But
Right.
like you was saying, when you realize what your desires are, and this is your offspring, your creation, why would you not want them to see their life through?
Right.
How do you sit back and not help them be the best that they can be when you created them?
And,
It's selfish of you to stay there.
and let me just insert this real quick. Stay right there. And to do that to them the way your father did it to you,
Right.
or the way your mother did it to you, that's you passing down a generation.
Yeah,
Generational
generational curse.
Y'all say that together.
Because now
Yeah,
your
y'all
baby
sisters.
is out here doing the same thing that you
Right.
was doing.
And now
Maybe
you
not
mad at
exactly,
them.
but the feelings that you was having is the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't become a parent. I don't know what it's like yet, but I'm pretty sure that there's a feeling
You
in
said
your
that
heart.
twice.
Because it's coming. If the Lord says so.
Don't put a ring on it. Though.
Not
Put a
before
ring on it.
marriage, though, okay?
Make it clear. Make it clear. Right.
But you caught that.
Yeah, I caught it twice. Y'all. You know I'm listening good.
But it ain't no way that you can't feel like you would want the best for your children. Now, I don't know for sure. Everybody, whatever, be where
I'm
they
pretty
at.
sure that's how I feel.
I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of people feel, but a lot of people be in their own way.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people have self-doubt. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's best for me to be out of their lives.
Right.
And all those other things. And I truly
Yeah.
feel like the only reason for it's best for you to be out of their lives is if it's talking about going to get help for yourself.
Right.
If you being out of their life and you just doing what you want to do, still running the streets, how is that helping them?
Right.
Now, if you're trying to go figure out fathers, mothers, it's not an excuse to leave just to go figure out yourself. Let me make that very clear.
Right.
But I understand, like, in your situation, it's not helpful for me to be around right now because I'm causing more damage because I ain't working on me yet at all. So I think that it's important to let the kids know that, though. You can't just up and leave and then expect for you to come back and we feeling like, oh, daddy's home, oh, mommy's back. It's like you up and left without no explanation. And I don't want to call people cowards but it is a little cowardness and it is a little selfish.
It is. It's
For
a
you
lot of
to
it.
for you to create something and just leave them like that. That's right.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
valuable.
It really was.
Raquel said I've been working on myself with my kids,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So how do you get a pass? And I want to say this, right? How does the other person get a pass?
Right.
When this is full time.
Because they're a
Right.
coward. You don't want to step up to the plate because you weren't ready to be a man for yourself or a woman for yourself.
They don't trust themselves.
And then how do you sit in the joint, right? And think about your kids and they come visit you, and you want to establish that relationship, but then get out, and do the same sucker stuff that you did, think, saying you got to make your money. No, dude.
Yeah.
It's a
You
mindset
got to
thing.
get your, and if you got, and I want to be clear, if you got 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers, you need to change occupations.
Yeah.
Because obviously what you're doing ain't working for you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
if you do that, what you just said, get out of jail, and then you go back and do the same thing, that is proven to your kids that they not worth it for you.
Right.
Without you even saying it. You just showed them.
Yeah.
So why would I care? When you finally figure it out that you got to get yourself together, now you feeling like you are healthy and whole,
Right.
and you want to come back in my life, you done proved it over and over again that I was not worth you getting yourself together because you did the same things.
Yeah, and then
And that's a hard...
pill to swallow. Yeah,
That's a hard wall to break. Once that gets started, that's a hard wall.
right. And then
And
the
it
parent,
takes a long time.
and then the parent want to be mad at the child because they grow up and be just like them. Well, this is what you showed me. So what you want me to do?
Exactly. And they wind up in prison sitting there right with you.
Yeah,
I've seen it so many times, man, where the father's in there, the grandfather, the uncle, both brothers, all that.
Yeah.
Everybody following the same extreme.
Yeah.
Well, our time is up.
yeah.
Get some final words in. All right, Jamiskis.
For us, our goal is to make sure or to help that those things don't happen. You getting out and then you going back down the same path. Our goal with these conversations is to let the world know that it's important to establish these relationships with your children. Not just for their growth, but for your growth as well. Even if y'all don't want to have a relationship, both parties need to take accountability and acknowledge their behaviors and the lack thereof.
Absolutely right.
And just give love to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And to piggyback off Jamila, another part of our conversations is that a lot of times we feel alone. And this is more so a setting of our experiences and how we went through it and maneuvered through everything. It's not just you. And
Not alone, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
On everything.
And to piggyback off of that is also
No,
to
everybody piggy.
We got to get a new word.
right. It's also to
Everybody
show.
riding the pig.
It's also to show, that these conversations are possible. With your parent and child, and that this is what growth can look like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's also to show that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It can happen. It takes work, yes, but it definitely can happen. So.
In the horseback ride off what you said. No. But man, we just, we're so grateful and so honored for those of you all that are watching us, and that will be watching us. It's an amazing journey. I just want to say that as a father, to be able to sit at the table with my children and, and talk about our issues and be vulnerable.
Yep.
And I want to tell, the brothers, it's okay to be vulnerable to your children. You know what I mean? If you can't be vulnerable nowhere else, be vulnerable with your children, man.
Yeah, we
Let
love
them
it.
see you. Let them see the real you, not that mask you. All right. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Man,
guys.
Yeah, one life, one love, one God.
Yeah.